Novak Djokovic has just added Coco Gauff's former coach to his team ahead of the 2026 season. Novak Djokovic endured a second successive season without a Grand Slam in the 2025 season, but he has not given up hope of winning a 25th major honor. The Serbian star reached the semifinals of every Grand Slam in 2025, as he narrowly missed out to Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. Djokovic continues to break records on the ATP Tour, but 2026 is more than likely his last chance to win another Grand Slam. The 24-time Grand Slam champion has added an esteemed sports biomechanist ahead of the 2026 season. Novak Djokovic adds Mark Kovacs to his coaching team ahead of 2026. Djokovic has officially added Mark Kovacs to his coaching team as he prepares for his 21st consecutive season on the ATP Tour. Kovacs joins with a glittering CV, where he is globally renowned as a serve doctor for some of the biggest stars in tennis. The American has previously worked with John Isner, Sloane Stephens, Madison Keys and Coco Gauff, as well as alongside the LTA at the GB National Tennis Academy. Kovacs' work also extends to other sports including football, NFL and MLB. He has previously worked with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Djokovic's serve has continued to impress in the twilight of his career, so it will be interesting to see the changes Kovacs wants to introduce in the Serbian's game. How Mark Kovacs revolutionized American tennis. Kovacs worked at the U.S. Tennis Association for 15 years from 2010, and he was brought in to improve the player's serve. Speaking to Sidelines, Kovacs explained the work he did with some of the biggest rising stars in the American game, including Isner and Stephens. The American said, "We looked at the analytics early on and we knew that the serve obviously is so important. Historically the U.S. had pretty good servers. But over the period that I was there the serve stats were down. And the juniors that we were looking at didn't have a lot of great serves coming out." Kovacs also worked with Jakub Mensik between 2024 and 2025, a period which brought him his first Masters title at the Miami Open. In tennis, the most fascinating moves often happen far from the baseline. They happen in quiet conversations, in notebooks filled with arrows and percentages, in the careful selection of voices that will be allowed inside a champion's inner circle. Long before the first ball of a new season is struck, the future is already being shaped by decisions that never appear on a scoreboard. Novak Djokovic, a player who has built a career on mastering these invisible margins, has just made one of those decisions. Ahead of the 2026 season, he has added Coco Gauff's former coach to his team, a move that feels both surprising and completely in character. At this stage of Djokovic's career, every choice is deliberate. He is no longer chasing validation. He is curating legacy. Each season is less about reinvention for reinvention's sake and more about refinement, finding one or two new edges that keep him ahead in a sport that never stops evolving. Bringing in a coach who helped shape one of the brightest young stars of the modern game is not a retreat into comfort. It is a step toward the future, a signal that Djokovic is still listening, still learning, still curious. The significance of this addition lies not just in the name on the staff list, but in what that name represents. Coco Gauff's rise has been defined by fearless athleticism, emotional intelligence, and an ability to adapt under pressure. Her former coach was present during a period when raw talent was being molded into a sustainable, elite identity. That kind of developmental insight, how to balance aggression with patience, belief with discipline, is invaluable even for someone who has already won everything there is to win. For Djokovic, this is not about copying anyone else's blueprint. It is about cross-pollination. Tennis, like all high-performance sports, advances when ideas travel. A coach who has spent years working with a new generation player brings fresh language, modern training philosophies, and a different relationship with data, recovery, and mindset. Djokovic has always thrived at the intersection of tradition and innovation. This move suggests he is once again positioning himself at that crossroads. There is also a poetic symmetry to the decision. Coco Gauff represents the future of the sport, young, outspoken, socially aware, and relentlessly competitive. Djokovic, though a veteran, has often been cast as both disruptor and bridge between eras. By welcoming someone from Gauff's journey into his own camp, he is, in a sense, inviting the future to sit at his table. It is a quiet acknowledgement that the game he dominates today will not be the same game tomorrow. From a tactical perspective, the possibilities are intriguing. Djokovic's game has always been a masterclass in elasticity, defensive skills that morph seamlessly into offense, returns that dismantle even the biggest servers, and a mental game that suffocates opponents over time. A coach experienced in maximizing athletic explosiveness and managing youthful intensity could help Djokovic fine-tune specific areas. quicker transitions at the net, sharper first strike patterns, or even new approaches to conserving energy over a long season. At 38, by the time the 2026 season begins, efficiency will matter more than ever. But perhaps the most compelling aspect of this partnership is psychological. Djokovic has often spoken about the importance of being challenged, of surrounding himself with people who are not afraid to question him. A coach coming from a different generational context may do exactly that. Fresh eyes see old habits. New voices ask uncomfortable questions. And Djokovic, contrary to the caricature of stubborn dominance sometimes painted around him, has repeatedly shown a willingness to evolve when the argument is strong enough. There is also a message here for the locker room. In a sport increasingly defined by youth, Djokovic's decision sends a reminder that greatness is not static. The hunger to improve does not expire with age or trophies. By adding Coco Gauff's former coach, Djokovic is effectively telling the tour, "I am still building. I am still investing. I'm still dangerous." For fans, the move invites imagination. What will Djokovic look like in 2026? Will there be subtle shifts in his on-court demeanor? New patterns in his shot selection? A slightly more aggressive posture in early rounds to shorten matches? Or perhaps a renewed emphasis on adaptability, changing game plans mid-match with even greater fluidity? These are the kinds of questions that make an off-season decision ripple with anticipation. It also reframes the narrative around coaching itself. Too often, coaches are discussed as static entities, defined by the one player most associated with them. But great coaches, like great players, evolve. They carry lessons from one chapter into the next, refining their philosophy as they go. Moving from guiding a young star like Gauff to collaborating with an all-time great like Djokovic is not a step backward or sideways. It is a continuation of a broader tennis conversation. In the end, this is a story about humility disguised as ambition. Djokovic does not need anyone to validate his greatness. Yet he continues to invite new perspectives into his world. He understands that the moment you believe you have nothing left to learn is the moment the sport leaves you behind.